Good evening. This is Jack. How are you guys? Let's go back to 1976. A friend of mine, and I mean a good friend of mine, was murdered in Coconut Grove. This guy was like, you hear it all the time. Oh shit, he passed away. He was a really good guy. Oh, he loved his family. All the regular shit. No, no. In this particular case, this man was a sweet guy. I had got caught up in doing some business down in Florida a few weeks before this terrible thing happened, and I needed some money. I was going to put up, X amount of dollars, and I needed $150,000 more. And I went over to this guy's house, and this guy, he was a junkie, but not in the traditional sense where he was just a fucking dirty junkie and, didn't do anything and, just a sleazeball. This guy was a health nut. He loved to surf. He loved the water. He loved to dive, but he did like to shoot heroin. And he did like to snort cocaine. And he did take pills. So he was kind of torn, and he smoked marijuana as well. He did it all. Well, anyway, I got over to his house, and I told him the situation that I needed some money to make a purchase on some weed. And, I needed the downstroke, and I was light, 100, 150. I'm not sure what it was. And he said, no problem. So I went up to his bedroom with him, and he opened the wall. He had 600 grand in the wall, in hundreds, 50s, 20s. And he pulled it out, and he counted out 100, 125, 50. I'm not exactly sure. And gave me the money. Well, I went ahead and I purchased the weed. And the weed was, some of it was good. And I started flipping it, and I had told him I was taking the weed to New York City. And but I ended up taking some of it to Gainesville, Florida. Well, short story, terribly long, I couldn't sell all of the weed. And I did not get back the initial nut. And a couple of weeks had gone by. And, normally I would never have treated this guy like this. I would have called and given him an update and told him what the hell was going on. But I just didn't want to have to hear any shit. So I took the merchandise to California. Well, when I got to California, I had been there 2 days, and I got the word that my friend had been shot. And he was dead. He had been murdered. And I went, oh, Jesus Christ. Well, one thing led to another, and I started moving the merchandise, and the weed, finally got sold. And I guess a couple of weeks went by before my attorney in Miami had called me. And he said, hey, listen, there are people looking for you, and they're looking to blame you for the thing that happened in the Grove. And I go, well, what the fuck? I didn't have anything to do with that. And he goes, no. But the families have got together and put together a private investigator, and he wants to know if I can come out with him, the attorney, and do a polygraph on you in Los Angeles. And right away I said no. And he goes, well, listen, they're applying a lot of heat. And I said, well, what's this going to cost me? And he goes, well, listen, I've got a client out in L.A. anyway, so, you pay a couple of $1,000, and I'll go out because I have to go see the client, and I'll be there while this guy, the private detective, administers the polygraph. And he goes, and, of course you're not going to take it if you had anything to do with it. And he said, I'm going to ask you straight out, do you know anything about it? And I said, absolutely not. Not a thing. And he said, well, the reason they're trying to put this on you is because, you got 100, 150 grand from the guy a couple of weeks ago. And I said, well, damn. I said, I know that looks bad, but son of a bitch, I love this guy. This guy's my friend. And I did not have anything to do with it whatsoever. I didn't know anything about it. I had nothing to do with this. And he goes, okay, all right. So anyway, he brings out the private investigator. Well, prior to that happening, they asked me where they wanted to come because I lived in San Francisco. And well, anyway, we get it all kicked around to getting it to L.A. And a couple of years before that, I was in the military with this guy from Los Angeles. Nice guy, sweetheart guy, still my friend today. And a friend of his was this biker. And he didn't have a large club, but there was substantial. There were like 40 of them, and this guy was the president. But he wasn't a traditional biker. He was clean and neat and a businessman and a serious motherfucker. Sicilian, about 5'10", 180, but unfucking believable weightlifter body. I mean, from top to bottom. He had been locked up in Folsom, and he had did 5, and he had got out of Folsom, in the real early 70s, just a little bit before I met him. Well, we clicked off real good, and he was just a nice person to me, real friendly, real nice guy. And so I went to my friend down there and I said, hey, listen, would you help me with security? And I told him the story. I said, I did not have anything to do with this, but I don't trust a private investigator coming out. I don't feel right. Maybe it's a move. Maybe they're going to put a move on me. I'm just not sure what the deal is. Would you guys please pick them up and, bring them up to Beverly Hills to a real exclusive hotel where they can do the polygraph on me and that'll be that. Well, when I say bikers, I mean, they just didn't show up on a bunch of Harleys and wearing colors and mean and nasty and, the traditional biker scene on TV. No. These guys, they were very cool. They were in jeans and boots, but nice shirts, and they were all clean and fucking neat, and they picked up the attorney, and they picked up the polygraph guy, the private investigator guy, and they brought him up to Beverly Hills. Well, Jesus, it was terrifying for me, really, because I didn't even want to rehash it. I really liked this guy that got hit, and so I went across the street and started drinking slowly and snorting cocaine. And well, it was time. I went in, and the guy, he administered a polygraph. He asked me a bunch of questions to see if I was who I was and see if I was lying or not. And then they ran down the list and mentioned a bunch of shit that didn't mean anything to me. And the bottom line is when the polygraph was over, I looked at him, he looked at me, and I go, well? And he goes, well, I'm going to take this back, and I don't think you had anything to do with, this trouble and this murder. And I said, well, great. So I said, everything's straight? And as I get up to leave, he goes, there is one thing. We want to know what you're going to do about the $150,000 that you borrowed from the man who was murdered. And I go, what? What are you talking about, man? You're out here, you put me through all this fucking shit, you make me run around and cost me all kinds of fucking money, and now you want to talk about money? Go fuck yourself. And tell everybody in Miami to go fuck themselves too. Fuck you. I didn't have anything to do with this. I love this fucking guy. And it's insulting to talk to me about money. Fuck you. Like, I would admit that I even had any money from this guy. You fucking motherfucking mama, just go fuck yourself. Hey, listen, I'll have another one for you in a few days. I'll see you then.